Hey everybody, and welcome back to Investment Honey, where we talk about various crypto projects. Before we begin, as always, a couple of reminders. I'm not your financial advisor, and we never provide investment advice on this channel ever. With that being said, just a real quick thing to mention to you that, there have been several videos, where I provide, some little tips and nuggets, of information that will probably be helpful, for you. So, as I would imagine, considering it's a YouTube video, a lot of people go ahead and skip around, but you're going to miss some of this additional information that can be useful, for you through skipping through the video. So you may want to go ahead and watch, more of the content just to kind of make sure you're not missing out on stuff that may be valuable. So I've mentioned some of the different videos, just additional things you can do in regards to the filters, and again, additional helpful things, as far as, what you're doing in terms of looking at tokens. So, and that's information that you will not be aware of, if you're skipping through the video. So I would certainly encourage you to watch more of the content so that you don't miss on some of that valuable information, because even though the structure of the videos do stay the same, there is additional information that is, from time to time placed in these videos that, like I said, you're not going to be aware of if you're skipping through. So with that being said, if you're new here, thanks so much for joining the channel, joining the series. There has been, a lot of valuable information, provided, throughout the series, a lot of different examples of, tokens that have been spotted early, and have gone ahead and done anywhere from a 2x, to a 10x and beyond in terms of the pumps. So again, we're glad to have you. And for anybody else that's new, thank you so much for continuing to support the channel and for continuing to support the series by being here. With that being said, if you are not yet subscribed to the channel, please consider subscribing. We love our subscribers. And, with that being said, we're going to go ahead and get into today's video. Now, there's not really much to talk about in terms of review. Not any, real big movers, from taking a look at the alerts that I've got in my settings. And so what we're going to do, that means we're going to stay in discovery today, for the duration of the video. So let's go ahead and let's adjust the configuration, because we can see today we've got all the stuff going on. And you guys already know, if you've been part of the video series for any amount of time, I typically like to get rid of some of this information. So we're going to do that by clicking here on the gear first. And we're going to remove the price. We're going to get rid of the transactions. We're going to get rid of the volume and the makers. We're going to keep the time slots, get rid of liquidity, and keep the market cap. So this is typically what I like to see. This is where I find the most useful information in terms of my own configuration whenever I do the videos, and even when I'm just looking through Dexscreener, when I'm not recording a video. So we're going to go ahead and look at the filters here. And we're going to keep, all three today, Solana, Base, and Ethereum, meaning that since we've selected multiple chains, we don't need to go ahead and do anything here on the Dex side. Now, if you're somebody that's new, and I'm talking pretty quickly, I do that sometimes, just varies from video to video, but you have the benefit of the video to be able to go back and review whatever it is that I'm telling you. So again, if you're new to crypto and all this is just, coming across so quickly, just be aware, just go ahead and go back and review the content as much as you need to, just to follow along with me. Okay, and if you're new, make sure you go back through the first day of the series, day one of the Dexscreener series, just to kind of get those introductions out of the way and to see how things are going to flow. With that being said, we're going to go straight to our market cap and FTV. Remember, on the FTV, it's the same thing as the market cap. You don't need to do anything with that. And liquidity, we never touch that, since it's always 1,000, and we're looking for at least liquidity of minimum $1,000 in liquidity, for any token we look at. Not doing anything here on the Dex side because we've already selected multiple chains. So as always, our minimum market cap, we're going to start out with 50,000, and then we're going to go to, since we got three chains, we'll go to 100,000. We'll see what we get in terms of the results, that our configuration is going to yield. And we'll also go to pair age. We'll go ahead and we'll stick with, I know there have been several days where we've gone, with super fresh tokens. I think we'll start out with 10 hours, and then we'll go to 60 hours, for this one for today. And for 24-hour volume, let's see, we're looking for change. 10% as the minimum change. Now, here's a little nugget of information for you. If you're ever looking, and I'll come back to this. I'll tell you what, I'll come back to this. I'm going to click apply, and we're going to go ahead and sort here by the 24-hour just to see the largest gains, in the 24-hour slot or column. Now you can see it's everything from 28,000 here at the highest, all the way down, and it should be above 10%. So it's at 21%. So what we're going to do, I'm going to go back into the filters, and let's say that I don't want to go ahead and focus, on just the positive in that 24-hour slot, okay? Or maybe we want to keep the positive there, but we want to look at something that even though it's positive in the 24-hour, we want to see tokens that are down, I don't know, maybe, 10%, okay? So what we're going to do, and a lot of people don't really realize this, that in the 5-minute change here in these columns, they don't operate the same way it does in any other, area where you can put a minimum and a maximum value. So you got a minimum value of here of 10 and a maximum value of 60, right? So when you're looking for negatives, you actually have to switch it around. And this is something that common, as far as how it works, in situations like this when you're working through dexes and you want to work with a negative value. So if I'm looking for, something that's, at least 10% down in the last 5 minutes, what I would do is I would say that I'm going to go ahead and put a minimum value of 5%, okay, and a maximum value of 15%. This is going to be how you operate with the negatives. You have to flip-flop them. You cannot operate, where it's, 5 here and 15 here. And I'll show you why. So if we do -5 here, and you'll find out in these other columns, you can't use minuses. But here we're going to go -5 and -10%. So here we go. We got -5 and -10. So what we should see is that in that 5-minute column, we should see anything from a -5 to a -10. Actually, we'll put 15. Anything from a -5 to a -15%. So we're going to click apply, and it's not going to work, okay? It says there's nothing to see here. Now, understand this. Dexscreener covers all the chains. It covers all the tokens that are being launched every second of the day. You mean to tell me that there's nothing here to see? You mean to tell me that, let's try this for example. Let's go from a market cap of $1, okay, of $1 all the way to $1 million. It's still going to tell me nothing to see. Nothing to see. And you want to know why? The reason why is because our values here are all jacked up. So because this is jacked up and this is messed up, it doesn't matter if you go to 1 billion. It's not going to produce one token for you. Nothing. Okay. So it doesn't matter if we put liquidity at $1. It's not going to show you anything. Nothing to see. And that's because we've gone ahead and we've messed up our values here. So what does that mean? Okay, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to adjust our liquidity back. Okay, the one exception that I'm making here as far as adjusting the liquidity, okay, because we never touch liquidity. All right, and the market cap, we're going to go 50K like we had before, and we're not going to go to 1 billion because that's just ridiculous. Okay, so we're going to go to 100,000. All right, and then we're going to correct the values here. So remember, on the negatives, all right, the negatives are flip-flopped. So what you got to do is your minimum value now is here in the max column, and your max column is now here in the minimum column. All right, so our max, which is now our minimum, okay, is going to be a -5, and then our minimum, which is now our maximum, is going to be a -15. Okay, and it will now produce tokens for us. And then what we will see is that in the 5-minute column, it'll show us anything with a minimum value of a -5 within the last 5 minutes to a change of -15% in the last 5 minutes. And then everything else will be fine. It'll still match our parameters of, 10 hours to 60 hours. And it'll still match, our parameters of 50,000 to 100,000 within that has at least $1,000 in liquidity. And it will match, our parameters here as far as the change you've selected. So here we go. And then we get TrendX. And this actually is not a really good token, because again, I've highlighted, for anybody that's been around for any amount of time, that these tokens with the box and the question mark, like with scams. But you can see in the 5-minute, what did it do? It gave us a token, that matches that parameter of -5 to -15% within the last 5 minutes, right? Now what we'll do, just so we can get some more, tokens, we're going to go out to 1 million, okay? So here we are, okay? So we get more. But what do we see in the 5-minute column? Nothing is outside of at least of that -5 to -15%. So you can see that this matches perfectly with our parameters. All of these tokens would have been within that 10 hours to 60-hour time frame, and they would have all met the parameter of 50,000 to 100,000. Oh, no. Did we go out farther? Since I'm seeing, Oh, to a million. Sorry about that. I was wondering why I saw one at 369. Okay, to 50,000 to a million in terms of our market cap. Okay, so, and we can also see in the 24-hour, we get nothing that is lower than that 10% positive value in the 24-hour column. So again, this is what I'm talking about in terms of viewing these videos. This isn't the first time that I've talked about additional things you can do in the filters, but you guys are not going to know that if you're skipping through the videos. Because again, I don't make it a purpose to do that in every video, but there are times, going through the course of talking about the tokens or whatever it is we're doing in terms of research, as we're utilizing the filters to discover new tokens, that I may go ahead and give you a new nugget of information. Again, you have to watch through the videos to see when that may happen, because there's no set time when I'm going to, do that. But again, this is another, point in the video series where I'm giving you additional information. And that's what I plan to continue to do. As we talk about the filters, I'm going to give you more information, in various videos where I will go ahead and address more in terms of the filters and how to expand beyond, basic search filters, as well. And for the most part, yes, we do stick with, messing around with just the topmost portion, of the filters, but there have been times where I've gone ahead and I've addressed, stuff down here as well. So, and this is another, another case, where I'm doing that in terms of what I've addressed, right here in explaining the negatives, to you. So what we're going to do, we're going to go back here. We're going to go back and address, we're going to go to our 100,000, which is what we had originally set. And then again, like I said, we've got our 3 chains, selected: Solana, Base, and Ethereum. We got the liquidity set at 1,000, our market cap set at 50,000 to 100,000. Our pair ages, we're starting at 10 hours to 60 hours. And then the minimum value of the 24-hour change is going to be 10%. Okay. And then nothing else is there. So, all right. So here we go. Now we're going to get more into discovery. We've already gone ahead and addressed, our 24-hour here just to reflect the highest gains in that 24-hour window. Okay. And then, like I showed you before, or at least started to address, the fact that whenever you see this box with a question mark, typically you're looking at scams. Typically. Now, there have been outliers. I mentioned Crime Coin some days ago, and that one had this going on for it, and it absolutely went bananas, right? But again, that's not always going to be the case. In fact, in better than 95% of the cases, that's not what you're going to see. You're typically going to experience, a token where you don't have any socials. It may have been flagged, as being, freezable as far as the contract's concerned, or there just may be weird things going on in terms of buy transactions in the chart. I mean, so again, these are tokens that we typically want to avoid, but it doesn't mean that none of these tokens, that have this going on with the box and the question mark are illegitimate. I mean, there are some, but for the most part, most of them are not legitimate. Okay. So, and this one, as well, even when you see that the chart may not look, odd, this one, I don't really care for the pattern. You got these spikes going on, and this is not really a pattern, that reflects a healthy chart, especially not after 21 hours, so again, this is probably what I would go ahead and avoid. And then here, definitely, you can see that this token is freezable. Glad that we got this trigger or this notification here, so that you can see that for the purposes of demonstration and illustrating, why we want to avoid these kind of things. We're looking at the 1 minute, but even here you can see, looking at the 5 minute, that this is not a healthy chart pattern. It's just not. So you don't get any socials, either, so this is one we want to avoid. Now, let's go and let's move into, some other stuff that's likely going to be stuff that we need to go ahead and, or it's probably going to have, a better chart pattern. Maybe, we'll have to go ahead and see. And then also want to highlight, as always, if we see stuff that has, inappropriate language and whatnot, those are tokens that I won't go ahead and mess with, just because, it's not going to be appropriate for a YouTube upload. So, but let's see, chicken. What is this? Chicken the chicken? I don't even know what that is. I'm guessing it's a chicken token. All right, so here we go. This one obviously is pretty bottomed out, not one that we're going to look at. Plus, we can see right away nothing going on here in the 5 minute. In the 1 hour. And again, right now, all we're doing is our quick scans, looking at the chart and also making sure they've got at minimum a telegram, associated, with the token. So here we do get a telegram. Not really crazy about this chart. We don't see anything going on in the 5 minute, and the 1 hour, is in the negative too. So I'm doubtful that we're going to really be seeing, a lot of buy pressure there, because I mean, these numbers do give us some information where we can make that assessment. So we're going to leave this one alone as well. And then looking at Gate, or I'm guessing gatekeep clank. So this one too, chart looking pretty bottomed out, and every time they've got some buys, on the chart, it looks like, there's sell pressure that's accompanied, by it, just taking this chart, into the lower levels, so I think this is one we will likely avoid as well. And again, as I'm doing my scanning and making these kind of determinations, you might want to go and explore, some of the ones that I'm deciding to skip on, but again, I want to see tokens that have, better looking charts, and where I may make a determination that maybe it's coming out of the lower levels, so, but as you've heard me talk on some of these other videos, you kind of know what my mindset is as I'm looking at some of these charts, as well, and deciding to explore, go further into exploration as far as checking out, their Telegram channels. Here, this one, if we look at the 5 minute, we can see they had a run here, and then obviously at the peak, not unusual to go ahead and see the sell pressure, and then we want to see that recovery, after the sell pressure, right? So we can see a little bit of it, but then there's accompanying sell pressure, right here. Oops, hold on, right there. And so it still continues to go down, and we can see that it tried to make another run, but accompanied, by that sell pressure. So we can see, minus in the 5 minute, minus in the 1 hour, and not a lot going on here, even in the 6 hour, so even though they've got a Telegram, I think that we could probably find a stronger prospect. So let's move on. Here with this one, again, we're looking at a lot of, we see a run, we see the retracement, and then they try to go ahead and start to recover, retracement, and they kind of just stay in these lower levels, so you don't see anything really going on here in the 5 minute, and we're in the minus in the 1 hour. So this one as well, I think we would avoid it, on top of the fact that they don't have a Telegram, and so me, that if they don't have a Telegram, part of one of my qualifications is if there's no Telegram, then I won't even bother with it. Okay, this one, we don't see any socials, we'll refresh the chart, just because, sometimes, Dexscreener will go ahead and develop a personality and take away our socials, but this one really doesn't have any socials, so we know right away we're not going to mess with this one. And then with Himari, we see we've got a Telegram. We're going to go out to the 15 minutes, and then the chart kind of still looks, like there's not a lot going on. We can see here in the 5 minute, nothing there. We can see minus in the 1 hour and a minus in the 6 hour. So as far as buy pressure, we're looking for better prospects, so this is not going to be one. Now, keep in mind, as we go through the filters, we only went from 50,000 to 100,000. That gave us, some tokens to go ahead and look at. But if we don't find any good prospects, what do? We go back to the filters, we adjust, and we look for additional prospects, right? So that's what we're going to go ahead and do. So here we are, and we're going to adjust that 50,000 now to 101. Okay, so 101, and we're going to go out to 200. And the reason why I go ahead and do it in chunks like this is because when you're working with multiple chains, let's say that we go out to what's typically our max, which is 500,000, and then we go ahead and bring it up. Probably going to get about 50 tokens. In this case, we get 62. That's too many, for me to go and want to work through, all at once. So here's what we're going to do. That's the reason why we chunk it out. So we've got a much more manageable group to work through, and then we do our filtering, and then we come back, or we do our scanning and checking out what they've got a Telegram. Then if we want to pick up some more, then we go back, and then adjust the filters to reflect a higher market cap, and then we see what it gets, until. And for me personally, I want to see anywhere from 5 to 10 tokens that I can work with at a time. Okay, so we're going to look at digital gold. Bud, I think, was one that we did look at already, but maybe not. And I understand Dexscreener does auto adjust, so if it falls well out of the frame, in terms of that, like for the last one was 50 to 100,000. Let's say that it's, increased or went below, then it can end up in another production of results, based on the filters that we set in Dexscreener. Trump riders, did we get that one? We did not. So let's go ahead and Doge to Mars. Let's see here. Hindsight, sure. Candy Mountain came up twice. So when I get duplicates, I really don't care to mess with those. Official Jordan, sure. We'll go ahead and open that one up. I don't know what that is. MLK files, sure. Right hand of crypto, Toby the Turtle. Okay, so let's go and let's see what we got in terms of charts. So and the nice thing about Dexscreener is that it gives us an opportunity to go and be able to filter through a lot of junk. So we're going to come across some junk. But again, when we take a look at the charts, we can go and get rid of that and move on to, again, better prospects. So digital gold, not really feeling this one in terms of the chart. Bud here looks like it could be on the start of an uptrend, and they do have a telegram, so we're going to keep this one. Trump riders. So if I did anything with this one, assuming that everything worked out in the telegram, it'd probably be an under alert, so, but we'll keep it based on what we got going on in the chart here. And then this one, Doge to Mars. I mean, I'm skeptical just because we're also looking at minus almost 90% on that 6 hour. So even though we're on the plus side here on the 5 minute, the 1 hour, I'm not so convinced, based on what I'm seeing here on the chart, this is going to continue to go up. But I'll tell you what, just out of sheer curiosity, and also considering that they are paying for a 500x boost and they are on Dexscreener hot pairs, we'll keep it and we'll see. I'll come back to this one, but if there's more retracement on this one, I think I'll leave it alone. So here on hindsight, they do have a telegram, but I really do not care for the chart. I'll go out to the 5 minute, see. Yeah, I don't care for this chart, so we're going to go ahead and leave this one alone. I'd like to see more on that chart. And then for the official Jordan, they've got a 2000x boost on this. They are on hot pairs, but again, this is really, really kind of bottomed out. I'd want to see a stronger prospect personally. Now this one looks like they're coming out of the bottom levels. They've got a telegram. We're going to keep it. Let's see here. Looking at right hand of crypto, this one looks like a lot of retracement, almost minus 70%, on the 6 hour, almost minus 50% on the 1 hour. I think this is one we're going to leave alone. And then Toby here, this one as well. The minuses don't look too terrible, but we do see, a down, it looks like a retracement kind of pattern, on this chart. I don't know what they've got going on. They've got like a little boost going on, but I'd like to see more. As far as providing a catalyst to kind of move this chart in the other direction. But tell you what, we'll keep it for now. So we've got 5, here. Tell you what, we'll look at these, and then if we need to go ahead and go back into the filters, and get some more results, then we'll go ahead and be sure to do that. So we're going to go ahead and start checking out the channels now. This looks like it's a CTO. All right, so let's see what we got going on. All right, so let's see how many people are in the channel. We got just over 330 people, in the channel, which is cool. Okay, this is a welcome message. We got 6. Okay, so just a meme, as far as like the last messages. I want to see when the last buy was. That was a minute ago, which is good. Okay, they started locking. What is this? Started locking Bud on StreamFlow for a month. If you want to participate, lock your Bud. So you can lock tokens up, as well. You currently have about 6% of tokens locked, but the goal was to exceed 10% and then reach 20%. So, I mean, it can be a bullish sign, if there are a lot of people that want to go ahead and lock up their tokens. If you do have a lot of tokens locked up, that can certainly be helpful, for any token, that's for sure. I don't see any evidence of any kind of raid, going on. Let's see here, bullish news, what's this? Okay, all right, let's see here, show some love for Bud. Okay, so they did do some raids. So is this a current, so this one looks like this is a current raid going on. Let me see, this is 5, this would have been yesterday. Okay, so here's my problem with this one. This one was a raid they started yesterday. They still haven't completed this raid, and this raid is not a large raid. They're only looking for 3 bookmarks, 5 replies, 5 retweets, and 5 likes. Now, here's the other problem. It's not a pinned message, so people may not even know that this raid is still going on. So, I mean, again, when it comes to CTOs can be hit and miss. Sometimes you got people that are really, really good at running CTOs, and other times people just aren't very skilled at running, CTOs. So, but again, we got no trending. You got a small rate that hasn't been completed. I think when we go back out here, let's see here. Go back out here to Bud. We can see that they don't have any kind of boost going, yet. They're still getting some buys, but there's not a real catalyst, for the buys on this one, honestly. So let me go ahead and click this out. But yeah, I mean, for me personally, I think this is probably going to retrace just because there's no catalyst to keep this going. I've mentioned before, people tend to go ahead and follow buys, and that's not unusual, but they also tend to follow styles. But if you've got no catalyst to go ahead and continue to bring buys onto the chart, it's just essentially it'll just come down to FOMO. If you see that there's volume starting to come back to a chart, you'll get people buying into it, but there won't be any real good reason for why they're doing it. So they're sitting currently at 89, 86 here in the tab. I personally think this is going to go down, honestly, even at these levels. So, but based on where the chart is at, I think it makes sense to set an over and an under. So let's go ahead and let's do this, 86. And for the over, we'll set it at 100. I know that's a pretty decent deviation from the found market cap, but that's just what I'm setting it at. And then for the under, I'm actually going to set this at 40K because I think based on the fact that there's no catalyst to keep this thing moving. There's a possibility if it corrects or retraces, it could retrace pretty hard, so we'll see if it triggers, but I'm going to leave it at that. And so here we go for this one. Again, if everything checks out, in the Telegram, the only thing I can see doing on this one would be, an under, but the chart hasn't moved. So at least not much. And so let's go and let's check out and see what's going on. We also don't see anything going on here in the banner. No boosts, no ads, so hopefully they got something going on. But based on the stagnation on the chart, I don't know what they could, I don't know what they got going on. So let's see here. This, I don't think we get a portal, so no portal entry. So this is essentially, this is the channel, so, okay. Either way, they still got buys coming in. And so we're at 180, okay, 180K. Last buy came in just now. You have a button here where you can go ahead and vote. I'm guessing voting for major buy bot trending. And let me see here. I want to see if there's any kind of evidence of any kind of raids. At this point, we would have seen it by now. Okay, we got nothing going on in terms of raids, but we do have major buy bot live trending, which is good to see. Here, unfortunately, for live trending, you don't get a link, where you can go ahead and see where you're on the leaderboard, but you can, obviously make a pretty decent, some, assessment, based on the fact that it's 12:41 on my clock, it's 12:39, and they're still putting this banner here that it's saying they're live trending, that they probably are, still, trending, with major buy bot. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and go back out here. Another buy just came in, and this is a CTO, but I think this is going to retrace, honestly. So we're going to go ahead and set that alert, where it's 179 in the tab up here. So I'm only going to set an under alert on this one. So 179K. And let's set it at, I don't know, let's do 145. Okay. We'll go. Okay. And so we're going to close this out. Now, some of you guys, as I mentioned before in other videos, maybe wonder like, how do you determine, where you're going to set your over and your under? Again, it's going to vary from chart to chart. It's going to vary from token to token. It's going to be based off of what are they trying to go ahead and do to market the token. It's going to be based on community and what I see in there. It's going to be based off of what I see on the chart. Again, there are just a number of different things that you're going to look at that's going to give you an idea in terms of whether it should be quite a bit of ways, from the found market cap, or why it should be, closer to the found market cap. And that's going to be, whether we're looking up, in terms of setting that up alert or setting the down alert. So it's really kind of like a wormhole. It just changes all the time. It's a fluid process in terms of setting up, those alerts. And you need to be aware that you have to adjust the alerts, as well as things change, with your alerts. Maybe the token you thought was going to go ahead at a certain market cap and it didn't. And then maybe it just completely dumped. Well, if you still think that there is a chance for that token to go ahead and move, then what do you need to do? You need to go back into your alerts. And I've done the same thing. And I've gone ahead. What's a good example? Let me see here. So this one, 15K right here for first crypto president. This one, it made some moves, on the chart, but it completely dumped. And so what did I do? I went back in and I said, I want to continue to go ahead and watch this one. So, and I marked these as updated, market caps, so in my notes. So I marked this one at 15K and I said, I want to know when it goes over 25, because if it starts to move, I want to be aware of that so that I can go ahead and jump back in to checking out the chart and then making a decision. And that may even lead me to checking out the Telegram community as well. And that all those things, will help me, in terms of making an informed decision as to whether I should take an entry, so because again, if I think it's possible that this one could go ahead and move up to 100K, I mean, what's that? I mean, you're talking about better than a 4X, better than 5X on that, from the bottom, so Now, granted, it's going to alert me, 25K, so it wouldn't be, 5X or better, but again, at 25K, let's say that I decide to go and jump in, then if it hits 100K, then obviously those are still some gains. If it doesn't, if it retraces and then still decides to head back up, then my entry could be even lower. So again, when you're adjusting these alerts, it's not just for when you found it, but maybe it did go ahead and dump. And then you have an opportunity to go ahead and set a new alert. So you have to constantly be monitoring these alerts, but again, as long as you have the alerts set and they're active, then you can be notified on your computer or on your phone as long as you're logged in and go from there. So now let's get back to talking about Doge tomorrow's. So for Doge tomorrow's, we're going to go ahead and check out the Telegram. We can see we still got some buys coming in, nothing big, but again, I'm encouraged because I'm not seeing, a lot of sell pressure at this level. Okay, so, and they've also got that boost going in their Dexscreener hot pairs, as well. So let's see what's going on the Telegram. Let's see. Now, what I don't like is we see some spam right away. If they've got some moderators in here, they should be taking care of that. So the fact that they're not taking care of that does kind of concern me, because I wouldn't want to mess around with a token, where moderation is not being taken seriously. And in this one right now, they're not really taking moderation seriously. So for me personally, that automatically makes this a no for me. Okay. I don't care if the fact that it's, Elon themed. I don't care about the fact that it's, something that Elon said about going to Mars. What I care about is I got to see all the elements that I'm looking for working, cohesively, in a community that gives me positive vibes that, hey, this has potential to do something good. Now, granted, yeah, you got buys coming in, but hey, there's no moderation in there, which tells me if there's no moderation taking place in the community, then the team's not active. If the team's not active, tokens aren't always about the holders. I mean, tokens are also about what's going on with the team, and the team is supposed to be there helping you to protect your own investment should you decide to participate. And if the team's not there, if the team is absent, and hey, the Telegram channel is just going to crap, then I automatically know that this is probably not a token I want to mess with. Okay, so this one's a no for us. Now for this one's obviously continued to move since we found this one. And again, this one had that pretty decent, boost going. Now, there's not a lot of sell pressure taking place, but you still get some sells, and obviously there are people down here that got it at these levels, so at some point they're going to sell. The question is, are they going to sell responsibly? Let's say that you get a pretty decent spike on this chart. Is it going to be a complete dump, or what? We just don't know, because obviously this one is sat in these lower levels, for a little while. So let's check out the Telegram and see what they got going on. All right, so we're waiting. So this looks like a CTO, okay? And so for a CTO, it looks like it's doing all right, So here, this is Trump, signing an executive order declassifying the files on JFK, RFK, and MLK. All right, so and obviously that's the reason why you're starting to see some of these MLK files, tokens showing up, the RFK files and the JFK files. If you were not aware of why you may be seeing more of those types of tokens. Now, since we've been in here, obviously there have been additional buys that have come in. We're not seeing any evidence of a raid, but there's a pinned message basically saying, show your tweets. Okay, so what does that mean? For anybody that's new, it just means that you can go ahead and post a tweet from your own X account, and then the team apparently will help you or help to get the community involved to raid that particular tweet. Okay, so that's all that is. And I don't see any signs of trending going on. So we don't have signs of trending. We don't have signs of a raid, so I would like to see that, because I think that would help in terms of overall exposure, for the token. But so the only thing that's carrying the buy pressure for this token right now is this massive boost, purchase that they made. Okay, but again, boosts are not they're not the savior, for tokens. You need to have more going on, to help move a token. So like I said, the only thing we've got going on is a boost. No raid, no trending, and I don't know if they paid any callers, so nothing else, so do I think this one's going to continue to go up? I mean, again, people tend to follow buys, but I absolutely believe this is going to come back down. So that's just my thought there, based on what I've seen on the channel and what I'm seeing going on right now. That's the assessment that I'm making. So right now we're currently sitting at 188K, and we can see that here in the tab. So do I think this is going to come back down? Sure. I think we're going to go ahead and we're going to go to a market cap of 100K, on this one. So I know that's a pretty decent deviation, from the found market cap, but I do believe it's coming down just because I don't see anything else. And what happens when this boost is gone? What happens when the time, and these boosts only last 24 hours. I don't know when they paid for it, but again, once that boost is gone, then all those people that came in because of the boost, they're not long-term holders. They're going to go ahead and take their bags and take their money and move on to somebody else or to something else. Okay, so here we can see like a sliver, of a buy that came into this Toby token. So I'm going to go and, but there's no movement, so no movement here on the 5-minute and the 1 hour. So you'll likely, see a cut, on the video in regards to the Telegram, but I'm not going to worry about that. Either way, here's what I really want to point out. On the 5-minute, the 1 hour, you're not really seeing, a lot of activity, so this one, do I believe it's going to continue to retrace? 100%, absolutely. We got a small boost, but the boost again is not really going to bring in a lot of traction, for this, as you can see. So, and they had a small VC, but it's really not much of a VC. So I think this is one we'll probably go ahead and just not even worry about. Okay, so give me one moment, guys. Okay, guys, so we're going to make one more adjustment. Here on our filters, we're going to go 201. All right, and we're going to go to 350. Okay, let's see what we get. All right, so we're going to go ahead and start here at the bottom. We're just going to go ahead and start opening some up. And this one, since we got a duplicate, I'm not going to worry about it. Herald, hide the pain, Herald. Okay, sure. The Mule, okay. Labs, sure, we'll open that one up. And let's see here, I don't even know how to say that one. We got a pet mouse here. We already looked at official Jordan. We're not doing that one. Silk Road, sure, we'll open that one up. And Tired Dad. Okay, so here we go. And this one, as far as the chart's concerned, not crazy about a lot of sell pressure, so we're going to leave it alone. This one as well, not looking too great on Herald. All right. This one, Base Cartel, we're definitely not going to look at this one. And let's see here. Infor AI Labs. I don't really care for the chart. You can see no activity going on here on the 5-minute, 1 hour, and 6 hours. So that is definitely a no. This one looks pretty bottomed out, and the pet mouse doesn't look to have any socials. We'll make sure by refreshing the screen. So yeah, no socials on that. So we're not going to mess with it. This one doesn't have a Telegram. This one is Tired Dad, for dads by dads. Okay. So looking at the 15 minutes on this chart, I mean, the chart looks, pretty good. Okay. So this is one we'll definitely go ahead and take a look at. So here we go. Let's check out the Telegram. They got a small boost going on if you didn't catch that. Okay. So let's see here. Let's get in here and get our verification going. So just over 230 members, in here. We are looking for votes, for major buy bot trending. Okay, and let's see here. What was the last buy? Last buy came in at 12:53. That's just a couple of minutes ago, which is good to see. No evidence of a raid taking. Oh, there we go. All right, so this raid, was a raid that did take place. I mean, it's been completed. It looks like recently, So they were looking for 10 bookmarks, 10 replies, 10 retweets, and 15 likes. So that's good that they completed that successfully. So, okay, we'll head back on out here. And again, the chart looks pretty decent on this one. So, but the only thing I'd be interested in setting on this one will be an under alert, because wouldn't want to go ahead and take an entry on this one that high if it was me personally. So, but, again, as I've mentioned this on other videos, what you can do, utilizing the Maestro bot, you can go in, you can just put like a 0.01 buy, which would basically be a couple of bucks, on this. And then what you would do is you would set your threshold, in the buy dip function, for, whatever market cap or percentage, negative that you want to see. So for me, if we're currently sitting at, 348 on the market cap, I'd probably be looking, more for an entry if it was me at around 300 or just under that. Just because, again, could be somebody down here that's still waiting to go ahead and get out, and they're just waiting for more buy pressure. And then obviously we would see that sell pressure, because anytime you see peaks on a chart, that's going to be accompanied by sell pressure for anybody that got in at lower levels, right? So like I said, for me personally, I'd be looking at a 300K to a 280K entry, personally. And then if it continued to go down, I'd just go ahead and DCA, from there. if I thought there was a possibility for it to continue to go up. Okay. So again, you can use that buy dip function, and then now you've got Maestro, the bot, watching the chart for you alongside and complement, to whatever alerts you decide to set through Dexscreener. So, and that's the reason why, I do enjoy using that Maestro bot. And again, the links for that are in the description, so be sure. Should you decide to go ahead and participate, again, Maestro does make, all those trades, much faster in terms of getting in and out. And I don't see how anybody trades manually these days. But even so, we'll go and we'll set an alert here. Now, I was talking at 348, but now it's at 353. We'll set the alert for 353K, and we're going to go straight to market cap, and it's going to be an under alert. I'm going to set this at 300K just to see if maybe it'll trigger that. So there we go. I'm not interested in setting an over alert on this one. So I'm going to leave it there in terms of the content that I'm going to cover today, for today's video. Thanks so much, as always, ladies and gentlemen, for continuing to follow along, with this series. If you know somebody that's, curious about learning about crypto, I like to think, that I'm a informational, type of not only Telegram channel caller, but somebody that provides content in regards to crypto online, so I'm not about shilling you guys anything, okay? I'm not here to go ahead and tell you that something's going to 100x. I'm not that kind of individual. I don't put out that kind of content. If that's what you're looking for, there's other callers and content, producers that go ahead and do that kind of thing. That's not what you find here at Investment Honey and Criminal's Calls. But again, if you're looking for somebody that's just, that wants to just get straight up information, and that you feel like, hey, you can trust the content that I put out. And I have, so many calls that I've done, on Telegram, and the community that continues to grow there, I believe, is a community that understands, that, hey, I'm about their safety. I'm about trying to make sure, to the best of my ability, that they have a more positive experience in crypto, and that I do focus on, helping people understand that you don't want to be an emotional type of trader, that, should you decide to go ahead and invest and decide to participate, in crypto trading, that, you need to get away from being an emotional type of, individual in those kind of activities, that it really has to be more about the information and being able to see charts and communities and tokens more objectively, and with greater clarity. That is something that I tend to focus on. So if you know somebody that's that would be curious about checking out a channel like that, definitely share it with them, this channel, share with them the Telegram channel. That link is in the description of all my videos. Make sure that you do that, because again, I want to help people. I know what I've been through in crypto, from the days where I just tended to just FOMO into things. And, where I'm at now is at a place where, hey, it is about taking a much more objective view and not just simply following somebody because they told you it was going to go ahead and do a 50x, So again, if you know somebody that would be interested in this kind of content, be sure to share the channel with them. And again, I appreciate you guys. If you're not yet subscribed to the channel, please consider subscribing. Love and appreciate, every one of you as a subscriber. So please consider doing that. I know you got a ton of options, here on YouTube to choose from. And as always, I'm just so glad that you choose to engage, with this channel and its content every day. Thanks so much for watching, and you guys enjoy the rest of your day.